Judges 16, Samson and Delilah. Samson went to Gaza, where he saw a prostitute, and went to bed with her. When the Gazites heard that Samson was there, they surrounded the place and waited to ambush him for all that night at the city gate. They kept quiet all night, saying, "Let's wait until dawn, then we will kill him." But Samson stayed in bed only until midnight, then got up, took hold of the doors of the city gate along with 2 gateposts and pulled them out, bar and all. He put them on his shoulders and took them to the top of the mountain overlooking Hebron. Sometime later, he fell in love with a woman named Delilah, who lived in the Sorek Valley. The Philistine leaders went to her and said, Persuade him to tell you what his great strength comes from, so we can overcome him. Tie him up and make him helpless. Each of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver. So Delilah said to Samson, Please tell me, where does your strength come from? How could someone tie you up and make you helpless? Samson told her, If they tie me up with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, I will become weak and be like any other man. The Philistine leaders brought her 7 fresh bowstrings that had not been dried, and she tied him up with them, while the men ambushed, waiting in her room. She called out to him, Samson, the Philistines are here. But he snapped the bowstrings as a strand of yarn snaps when it touches fire. The secret of his strength remained unknown. Then Delilah said, Samson, you have mocked me and told me lies. Won't you please tell me how you can be tied up? He told her, If they tie me up with new ropes that have never been used, I will become weak like any other man. Delilah took new ropes, tied him up with them, and shouted, Samson, the Philistines are here. But while the men ambushed were waiting in her room, he snapped the ropes off his arms like a thread. Then Delilah said to Samson, "You mocked me all along and told me lies. Tell me how you can be tied up." He told her, "If you weave 7 braids into my head in fabric on a loom, she fastened the braids with a pin and called to him, 'Samson, the Philistines are here.' He awoke from his sleep and pulled out the pin with the loom and the web. 'How can you say I love you?' she told him, 'when your heart is not with me?' This is the 3rd time you mocked me and not told me what makes your strength so great." Because she nagged him day after day and pleaded with him until she wore him out, he told her the whole truth and said to her, "My hair has never been cut because I'm a Nazarene. To God from birth. If I am shaved, my strength will leave me, and I will become just like any other man." When Delilah realized that he told her the whole truth, she sent this message to the Philistine leaders, "Come one more time, for he has told me the whole truth." The Philistine leaders came to her and brought the silver with them. Then she let him fall asleep in her lap and called the men to shave off the 7 braids on his head. In this way, she made him helpless, and his strength left him. Then she cried, "Samson, the Philistines are here." When he awoke from his sleep, he said, "I will escape as I did before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. The Philistines seized him and gouged out his eyes. They brought him down to Gaza and bound him with bronze shackles, and he was forced to grind grain in prison. But his hair began to grow back after it was shaved. Now the Philistine leaders gathered together to offer a great sacrifice to their god dragon. They rejoiced and said, "O God has handed over our enemy Samson to us, our enemy who destroyed our land and who multiplied our deed. When they were in good spirits, they said, "Bring Samson here to entertain us." So they brought Samson from the prison, and he entertained them. They had him stand between the pillars. Samson said to the young man who was leading him by the hand, "Lead me where I can feel the pillars supporting the temple." So I can lean against them. And the temple was full of men and women. All the leaders of the Philistines were there. And about 3,000 men and women were on the roof watching. Samson entertained them. He called out to the Lord, "Lord God, please remember me. Strengthen me, God." Just one more. With one act of vengeance, let me pay back the Philistines for my 2 eyes. Samson took hold of the middle pillars supporting the temple. And leaning against them on his right hand and the other on his left. Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." He pushed with all his might, and the temple fell on the leaders and all the people in it, and those he killed at his death were more than those he killed in his life. Then his brothers and his father's whole family came down, carried him back, and buried him between Zoah and Eshtaol in the tomb of his father Manoah. So he judged Israel for 20 years. Thank you for listening to this chapter, and God bless.